Why does he have to look at me like that? It's like he sees right through the mask I'm wearing. Cassandra was a woman of many faces, the daughter of a loving couple who had recently celebrated their 30th wedding anniversary. Each year, her parents would throw a lavish party, but this time they had decided on something special, a masquerade ball. As they prepared for the event, Cassandra felt an inexplicable excitement bubbling within her. She had always been the dutiful daughter, compliant with her parents' wishes, but there was something about the anonymity of masks that ignited a spark of rebellion in her. The day of the masquerade arrived, and Cassandra donned a striking crimson wig, a fitted black dress, and a mask that accentuated her striking features. As she made her way to the venue, she felt a thrill of freedom wash over her. The hotel was buzzing with relatives and friends, all adorned in black and gold, their identities hidden behind intricate masks. The air was filled with laughter and the sound of clinking glasses, a symphony of joy that fueled Cassandra's desire to lose herself in the moment. As the night progressed, she began to wander, exploring the beautifully decorated rooms filled with the intoxicating scent of roses and the sounds of laughter. She noticed her parents at a table surrounded by family, but she felt an irresistible urge to drift away and relish her newfound freedom. Cassandra made her way to the bar, where she ordered a sweet drink, allowing the alcohol to lift her inhibitions. Amidst the revelry, her eyes caught the attention of a mysterious man in a black suit. His shirt was untucked, his tie loosened, and he exuded a magnetic charm that was impossible to ignore. He raised his glass to her, and she felt a thrill shoot through her. The dance floor pulsed with energy as she found herself lost in the music, feeling as if she were dancing for him alone. Before she knew it, they were locked in a dance, their bodies swaying in perfect harmony. The chemistry was electric, each movement igniting a fire within her that she had never felt before. As they danced, words were unnecessary, their connection was visceral. Cassandra felt seen and desired in a way she never had before. "Who are you?" she finally managed to ask, breathless and exhilarated. "Let's just say I'm someone who enjoys the thrill of the night," he replied with a playful smirk. Their dance continued, enveloped by a world that felt like a dream. But as the night wore on, the music began to fade, and Cassandra felt a pang of sadness wash over her. She knew their time together was fleeting, but she was determined to seize the moment. The crowd thinned as she led him to a more secluded area, away from prying eyes. They found themselves in a dimly lit hallway, the pulsating music still resonating in their ears. The masked man stepped closer, his breath warm against her skin. "Are you ready for more?" he asked, his voice a low whisper that sent shivers down her spine. Cassandra hesitated for just a moment, but the allure of the unknown was too powerful. "Yes," she breathed, and they slipped into a nearby restroom, locking the door behind them. The air was thick with anticipation as they kissed passionately, the world outside fading into oblivion. In that cramped space, they shared a moment of pure connection, unencumbered by the weight of reality. Cassandra felt alive, each kiss igniting her desires, pushing her further into a realm of ecstasy. She had never imagined she could experience such passion, especially not with a stranger. As they reveled in their stolen moment, reality began to creep back in. The thrill of the night quickly turned to anxiety as they pulled away, both breathless and flushed. It was then that the man removed his mask, revealing a strikingly handsome face. "I'm Gabriel," he introduced himself, his eyes wide with realization. Cassandra's heart raced, her mind scrambling to comprehend the implications. "Wait, how do you know my name?" Gabriel's expression shifted, a mixture of regret and longing crossing his features. "You're Cassandra, right? I didn't realize until now. My father is married to your Aunt Cecilia, which makes us family." The words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Cassandra felt the exhilaration of their connection begin to crumble, replaced by confusion and disbelief. "Family?" she echoed, her mind racing. "Yes, but not by blood, he clarified quickly. We're cousins-in-law, not true cousins. It doesn't change what we felt, does it? Cassandra didn't know how to respond. The moment had been intoxicating, and the connection they shared felt profound. But now it was tainted by the revelation. She took a step back, trying to regain her composure. What do we do now? Gabriel sighed, his shoulders sagging under the weight of their shared reality. I think it's best if we don't talk about this. Just let it be a beautiful memory, something to cherish. As they emerged from the restroom, Cassandra felt as if she were stepping out of a dream. The vibrant atmosphere of the party seemed to mock her as she tried to adjust her mask and wig, pretending as if nothing had happened. But in her heart, she knew that this was a moment she would never forget. The next day, Cassandra received a message from her mother. Her aunt Cecilia was coming to visit, and she would be bringing Gabriel along. The anticipation filled her with anxiety. Would they be able to look each other in the eye? Would the tension from their encounter linger in the air? When they finally met again, Cassandra felt a wave of warmth wash over her. Gabriel looked just as handsome as he had at the party, and the memories of their encounter flooded back with intensity. They exchanged polite smiles, but the connection from the night before pulsed between them like an unspoken bond. Over the next few weeks, they found themselves in the same social circles, sharing stolen glances and brief conversations, each moment charged with the electric undercurrent of their shared secret. Cassandra felt drawn to Gabriel in a way she couldn't explain, a magnetic pull that seemed to grow stronger each time they were together. One evening, after a family gathering, Cassandra found herself alone in the garden, lost in thought. The stars twinkled above her, and the cool night air was refreshing against her skin. Suddenly, she heard footsteps behind her. It was Gabriel. "Mind if I join you?" he asked, his voice low and inviting. Cassandra nodded, her heart racing as he stepped closer. They stood in silence for a moment, the weight of their unspoken feelings hanging in the air. "I've been thinking about you," Gabriel confessed, his gaze intense. "About that night. About us?" "Me too," Cassandra admitted, her breath catching in her throat. "But we can't. It's complicated." "I know," he replied, stepping closer. "But I can't help how I feel. There's something about you that I can't shake. I don't want to let this go." Cassandra's heart raced as he took her hands in his, the warmth of his touch sending shivers down her spine. "What if we just see where this goes? We can be careful. It doesn't have to be complicated." The thrill of the moment surged within her, the desire to break free from the constraints of her life overwhelming. "Okay," she whispered, her heart pounding with excitement and trepidation. As they shared their first kiss under the stars, it felt like the world around them melted away. The connection that had sparked between them was undeniable, and in that moment, they both knew they were stepping into uncharted territory. Days turned into weeks, and their secret rendezvous became a regular occurrence. They met in secluded spots, stolen moments filled with laughter, kisses, and whispered confessions. They explored each other's hopes and dreams, sharing their fears of what would happen if their families discovered their relationship. Yet, with every secret meeting, the thrill of the forbidden only intensified their connection. They became each other's escape from reality, a safe haven where they could be free to love without judgment. However, as the summer began to fade, the reality of their situation loomed over them like a storm cloud. They were playing a dangerous game, one that could lead to heartbreak and turmoil if discovered. Cassandra found herself grappling with her feelings, torn between the intoxicating allure of their romance and the consequences of their actions. One fateful evening, they decided to meet at a secluded park, the golden hues of the setting sun painting the sky. Cassandra felt a mix of excitement and apprehension as she approached their usual spot. Gabriel was already there, waiting for her with a smile that made her heart flutter. But as they embraced, a sudden realization washed over her. "What are we doing, Gabriel?" she asked, her voice trembling. "What if someone finds out? What if our families? I know, he interrupted, holding her close. But I can't help how I feel about you. We can figure this out together. Cassandra felt the warmth of his body against hers, the comfort of his presence grounding her as doubts swirled in her mind. I want to be with you, but I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want to betray our families. Gabriel cupped her face, his expression earnest. We're not betraying anyone. We're just trying to find happiness. Isn't that worth fighting for? His words resonated deep within her, igniting a flicker of hope that perhaps love was worth the risk. Maybe we can take it slow, she suggested, her heart racing. We could find a way to keep things discreet while we figure it out. Gabriel's eyes sparkled with approval. I like that idea. We can still enjoy each other's company without drawing too much attention. With a tentative plan in place, they continued to nurture their budding romance, their secret love blossoming amidst the constraints of family expectations. They went on moonlit walks, shared ice cream at quaint little shops, and lost themselves in endless conversations that stretched into the night. But even with their best intentions, the thrill of their secret life weighed heavily on Cassandra. She found herself becoming more and more distracted, torn between her feelings for Gabriel and her family obligations. The constant anxiety of being discovered gnawed at her, making each stolen moment feel both exhilarating and precarious. One evening, as they sat on a bench under the stars, Cassandra turned to Gabriel. I think we should talk to our families. It might be better to be honest about how we feel instead of hiding. Gabriel's expression darkened. Cassandra, you know how they'll react. They won't understand. Maybe they will, she insisted, her resolve growing stronger. We're not related by blood, and love shouldn't be something we have to hide. I just don't want to lose you, he said, his voice filled with emotion. Cassandra reached for his hand, squeezing it reassuringly. You won't lose me, but I can't keep living like this. It feels wrong. After much debate, they finally agreed to meet with their families together. The decision filled Cassandra with a mixture of hope and dread. Would they accept their relationship, or would it tear their families apart? The day of the meeting arrived, and tension hung heavy in the air as they gathered in the backyard of Cassandra's parents' home. Family members mingled, laughing and enjoying the sun. But for Cassandra and Gabriel, it felt like the calm before the storm. When the moment finally arrived, they stood before their parents, hearts pounding. Mom, Dad, we have something important to tell you, Cassandra began, her voice steady despite the flutter of nerves in her stomach. Gabriel stepped forward, his hand clasping Cassandra's tightly. We've been seeing each other, and we want you to know how we feel about each other. A heavy silence fell over the gathering. Cassandra's parents exchanged glances, their expressions a mix of confusion and concern. Finally, her mother broke the silence. Cassandra, are you sure? Gabriel is family. Yes, but we're not cousins by blood, Cassandra insisted, her voice growing stronger. What we have is real, and it's not something we can just ignore. Cassandra's father sighed heavily. It's not that simple, sweetheart. Families are complicated, and this could create rifts that might never heal. The conversation escalated, each argument met with passionate rebuttals, and the air thickened with tension. Just when it seemed like a resolution might be reached, her Aunt Cecilia arrived, her eyes wide with shock as she pieced together what was happening. Cassandra, is this true? Cecilia asked, her voice trembling. Cassandra felt her heart sink as she realized they had opened a floodgate of emotions. Yes, Aunt Cecilia. Gabriel and I are together. You can't be serious. Cecilia's voice rose, filled with disbelief. This is a mistake. You're both too young to understand the consequences of your actions. Gabriel stepped forward, attempting to mediate the situation. We know it's complicated, but we care about each other deeply. Isn't love worth a chance? But instead of support, the argument escalated further. Accusations were thrown, hurtful words were exchanged, and Cassandra felt her heart break a little more with each passing moment. Just when she thought the situation couldn't worsen, her father stood up, his face a mixture of anger and disappointment. You need to understand the impact of this decision, Cassandra. You're risking everything. Our family, it's important. Feeling overwhelmed and cornered, Cassandra's heart raced. She had wanted to be brave, to fight for their love, but all she felt now was loss. I'm sorry, she whispered, tears welling in her eyes. I didn't want it to come to this. As she turned to leave, she felt Gabriel's hand slip from hers. The loss was instantaneous, like a tether severed. She glanced back at him, but he stood frozen, disappointment etched on his face. The days that followed were some of the hardest of her life. The family dynamic was strained, and the rift caused by their confession loomed larger than ever. Cassandra felt like a pariah within her own family, the weight of their disappointment a heavy burden on her shoulders. Gabriel, too, faced the fallout. Their once joyful moments were replaced by an aching void, and the thrill of their romance felt like a distant memory. They tried to keep in touch, but every conversation was laced with sadness and regret, and the chasm between them grew wider with each passing day. In the solitude of her room, Cassandra often found herself reminiscing about their stolen moments, the laughter, the kisses, the dreams they had shared. She missed him terribly, but she knew they couldn't go back. Weeks turned into months, and while the initial shock of their confession began to fade, the unresolved tension still hung heavy in the air. Cassandra felt lost, unsure of how to navigate the complicated dynamics within her family. One day, as she sat in the garden lost in thought, she heard footsteps approaching. It was her mother, a worried expression on her face. "Can we talk, sweetheart?" she asked gently. Cassandra nodded, her heart racing with uncertainty. "Things have been difficult since you and Gabriel, well, you know, but I want you to know that I love you, and I just want you to be happy," her mother began, her voice wavering slightly. "We all make mistakes. It's part of life." Cassandra's heart swelled with emotion. "Mom, I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I felt something real with him." "I know," her mother replied, reaching out to take Cassandra's hand. "But sometimes love isn't enough to bridge certain gaps. Family is complicated, and we have to protect that." "I get that," Cassandra said, her voice trembling. "But I don't want to let him go. I just need a chance to make things right." Her mother's eyes softened. "What if we reached out to Gabriel's family? Maybe we can find a way to meet and talk things through. It might help clear the air." Cassandra's heart raced at the idea. "You would really do that? You'd be willing to help?" "Of course," her mother replied, squeezing her hand. "You're my daughter, and your happiness matters to me." With a glimmer of hope igniting within her, they set plans in motion to meet with Gabriel's family. As the day approached, excitement mixed with anxiety filled Cassandra's heart. Would this meeting bring resolution, or would it only deepen the divide? When the day finally arrived, Cassandra felt a whirlwind of emotions. They gathered at a local cafe, both families seated at a long table, the atmosphere thick with tension. Gabriel sat across from her, his expression unreadable. After a few moments of awkward small talk, Cassandra's mother took the initiative to speak. "Thank you all for coming. We wanted to talk about what happened between Cassandra and Gabriel and how we can move forward." Cassandra's heart raced as she and Gabriel exchanged glances. "I never meant to hurt anyone," she began, her voice steady. "What we felt was real, and I hope we can find a way to navigate this together." The conversation was tense at first, filled with cautious words and hesitant responses. But as they continued to talk, walls began to break down. They shared laughter and stories, finding common ground despite the complexities of their situation. As the meeting progressed, Cassandra could feel the weight of the past starting to lift. Her parents and Gabriel's began to see the depth of their feelings, and slowly, the tension transformed into understanding. Finally, Gabriel spoke up. "I know this has been difficult for both families, but I care about Cassandra. I don't want to hide what we have anymore." Cassandra felt a rush of emotions as their families nodded, expressions shifting from disapproval to cautious acceptance. "Maybe we can all learn to embrace this," Gabriel's mother said softly. "Love is complicated, but it can also be beautiful." The conversation continued late into the afternoon, laughter gradually replacing tension. By the end of the meeting, both families had come to a tentative understanding. They still had a long way to go, but they were willing to work together. As they left the cafe, Cassandra felt a weight lift off her shoulders. Gabriel took her hand in his, squeezing it gently. "We did it," he said, his eyes shining with hope. "Yes, we did," she replied, her heart swelling with gratitude. Their journey wasn't over, but they had taken a significant step forward. As they walked together under the setting sun, Cassandra realized that love, even in its most complicated form, was worth fighting for. And as they ventured into their future together, she felt an exhilarating sense of possibility unfold before them. The dance with destiny continued, but now they would face it together, united by love and the hope of building a future that honored both their families and their hearts.